Welcome to How to Create an Online Seminar Part 1, Designing Your Seminar. In this video, I'm going to start you out by giving you the foundation for creating your online seminar, and that is to focus on developing the seminar itself so that it's awesome, it gives people great results, and people want to come back and refer you more business. So the first thing to know is that there's a name for an online seminar. It's called a webinar. And webinars, the purpose of them is often to introduce people to a topic and in the hopes that they will want to go deeper. So I've been leading seminars in person and now online for many years. I've done courses and classes. I've done them successfully. I've done them not so successfully. For the last 14 years, some version of a workshop or seminar or retreat has been part of my business. And so I'll share with you that over the years, what I've discovered, one of the most important things that you can do is to focus really in on the content of the seminar. A lot of people focus more on the attraction or the marketing of it or the sales process or the sales pitch from it. And what I'll share with you is that none of that matters if your webinar is no good. So let's first focus on how to make sure that your webinar is awesome and has people really get a lot of value from it. And so that it sets you up for what comes on the backside of your webinar, which is hopefully a whole bunch of sales. Now, what I'm going to share with you, you can do it, the order that I give it to you in always works. And that doesn't mean that it's the only structure that works. I've seen many different webinar structures that work perfectly well. And this is the one I've developed because it's the simplest and I've seen that it always generates the outcome. All right, before I get into each piece, I want to lay out for you the entire framework. Ready? It's why, who, what, how, now. So the why is part 1, and the why is where you set up the premise of your webinar. It's where you engage and enroll people in what they're gonna get out of it so that they stay present throughout the entire thing and they don't pop off, right? Because as we know, when we're online, on Zoom, it's very easy for people to get distracted, very easy for them to flick off their camera if you're doing a Zoom meeting and just kind of halfway pay attention. So what we want to do is we want to capture them right at the beginning so that they're really present and really engaged for the whole thing. So the why is where you do that. The why is where you set up the problem and the solution. The way I like to set up my why is first to open up with a question that people can't help but answer yes to. So for example, when I do my seminar or my webinar about lifestyle business, I open up with a question: what would it feel like if work felt like play every single day? And then I dive into a couple more questions that deepen that. For example, and what would it feel like if while you're playing, your business were working without you? That's what I'm going to share in this webinar. So you capture people's attention right away. A question that they can't help but say yes to is a really great way to do that. The next thing you want to do in the why is to set up the promise. Well, in this webinar, I'm going to share with you how to blank, 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 how to build a business that supports your lifestyle and feeds you and is energy rich and joyful. So once you've set up that possibility, now you'll want to enter into the promise. Here's what I'm going to promise you about today. Here's what you're going to walk away with. I call this the walk away promise because it's very concrete and it generally perks people up like, oh, I really want to get that. Okay, so for example, you could say by the end of this presentation, you will understand the 5 keys to creating a lifestyle business or something like that. The next thing you want to do in the why section is share what's the problem that most people face that prevent them from getting this outcome. What is the blind spot, the pitfall, the challenge that gets in the way? And then you'll share the solution at a high level. And usually the solution is whatever you're going to teach them in the webinar. Once you've set up the why of your presentation, the next piece is the who. And that who is you. Who are you and why should people listen to you? So I like to think of the who in 2 parts. The first part is your credibility and the second part is your story. The first piece is the credibility. The credibility can be stated in 3 to 5 bullet points, very simple, and it's concretely why you are an expert in what you're talking about. The second piece is not quite so concrete. Your story is how did you come to learn this? How did you come to do this work? Now, one of the biggest problems that I see in people's presentations is sometimes people tend to gloss over the first part and then drag out the second part. And I've also seen people do the opposite. So really, I'm talking about maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute of credibility and maybe 2 to 3, at most 5 minutes of your story. And that basically not only shows people why you're an expert, but also helps them connect to you emotionally and understand where you're coming from. By the way, let me just take this opportunity to invite you to subscribe to my channel. I publish videos like this every single day almost, and I'd love for you to know about when I release the next one. So click subscribe and also click the alert button, the little bell next to subscribe, so that you get a notification whenever I drop a new video. Okay, the third part of my fantastic structure for webinars and seminars is the what. Now, the what is where you really lay out what the answer is, what the blind spot is that they might not be seeing. Really, the what is what sets up your content. It's what sets up why you're putting together the content the way that you've put it together. So I'll give you an example. When I do my webinar on lifestyle business, the blind spot, what I'm setting up is that they need a new business model. So remember, the why is that people want to have more freedom, more joy, more fulfillment, more money in their business. So in the what I set up is that the solution to that problem is a new business model. And I spend a little time talking about what a business model is and why they need a new one and what are the benefits of a new business model. So in this what section, what I'm doing is I'm bringing them around to see this problem my way. And the way I see this problem is that your business problem, your lifestyle problem is really a business model problem, and that's what we're gonna dive into in the content. Which brings me to how. The how step is where you have all of your good content. Now, the way I recommend setting up your how, right? Which your how is your signature system, it's your steps to your solution, could be any of these things. But what I recommend best is to come up with 3 secrets, 3 counterintuitive secrets that are the solution that you've just laid out. So for example, because I do this in my seminar, if I've just laid out that the problem is a new business model, now in secret number 1, I will share that, by the way, the secret to having a great business model is not actually selling a bunch of products and services, but rather selling one thing that drives monthly recurring revenue, a big back end, right? So you want to share in your secrets something that they may not have ever thought of. You don't ever want people to hear your secrets or steps or signature system and say, ugh, I already knew that. I've heard that before. You want it to be something mind-opening and different and unique and compelling. Once you've done that, once you've laid out those steps or laid out those secrets, laid out those counterintuitive strategies, it's time to bring it home. This is where you transition to a call to action. Now, your call to action can be that you can actually offer something, you can sell something, you can offer a call with you can enroll people onto your email list. But no matter what you do, I highly recommend not skipping this step. This is where a lot of people get scared. They think that people are not going to want them to sell them something. They get a little funky around this call to action piece because people just don't like to be rejected. They don't want to offer something and then have nobody take them up on it. And so what I recommend is, if this is a cold audience, an audience that doesn't know you, like you, trust you just yet, one option is to give them something really juicy away for free that you know leads into the next step. Another option is to make a sales pitch. Now, here's the thing. That's something that requires some practice and some skill, and I'm not going to go deep into that in this video. My recommendation is, if you're just starting out with webinars and this is your first foray into this world, I would recommend giving something really juicy away for free that gets people into your world and that leads them to the next step. Now that we've discussed how to create an amazing seminar experience, how to design that content, let's get into the next piece in part 2. Part 2 is about how to market your seminar, how to enroll people in it, how to lead it, how to record it and host it technologically speaking, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. I'll see you over there.